It was 3 years ago today that I jumped into the fight of Kick Vic versus I Stand with Vic. And I joined the side, and I ended up joining the latter. I stand with Vic. Why? Because it just didn't make sense for to me for Vic to be canned when he was at the peak of his popularity. Had I known then of the elaborate coup that was going on behind the scenes at Funimation and Rooster Teeth to get rid of him, I would have spoken out much sooner and warned Vic about this. But we were both fools. We never thought this would happen, but lo and behold, it did. Now, while I have talked to Vic on and off over the past 6 or 7 months, and 7 or 8 months on his Twitch channel, keep in mind it's emphasis on and off, as his Wednesday night show, being able to talk to him and being able to do it within a 75-minute time limit, 60 to 75-minute time limit, is again predominantly a massive game of chance. As for those who threw him under the bus, you know I have gone after them. I have swung my sword at them, passed judgment on them, said some things I'm proud of and some that I'm not. That being said, do I rescind many of the things I've said about them? No. And many of you already know who I'm referring to as them. Those on Kickvic. Mars Girl, Montreal, Jamie Marchi, Chris Sabat, Sean Schemmel, Shan McCormick, Jen Brown, Miles Luna, Barbara Dunkelman, though I've never targeted any of them in succession outside of Shannon. Kerry Shawcross, Howard Wang, J. Michael Tatum, Kara Edwards, Brina Palencia, Brittany Kabowski, Jason Liebret, Elizabeth Maxwell. That one I only did just recently. And Robert Bruce Elliott. Natalie Rial, John Luke Hester, even going as far as to call out Miguel Rial, even though I don't know if Monica's brother is into the voice acting industry or not. Brian Drummond, and so on and so forth. The fact that these people are so petty and spiteful that not only can they not let go of this, Monica and Jamie especially, that by continuing to talk about it and twist their stories around just to fit their narrative, they continue to not only show how much they despise us, their consumers, their fan base, but they also show they don't give a damn about the legit victims. As I mentioned yesterday when I talked about their podcast, not that I heard it, but Trent Michaels was enough. But the video done by Trent Michaels was enough to give me a backdrop as to what I was feeling about this. About that show. And essentially should prove, why should we believe that they care for victims? Everything they've legit victims. Everything they've said was a lie. I mean, talk to my mother. She has actually dealt and helped victims of those kinds of actual victims of that kind of abuse. Heck, she's even gone as far as to rehabilitate the victimizers. Rehab the victimizers. if they were willing to go through the classes she was teaching. That My mother is someone who cares legitimately for victims of those sorts of crimes. Monica and Jamie only did it to justify claiming to virtue signal. Me, I'm more of a middle of the road kind of guy. I won't leave victim. I pity certain victims, some victims, but if they brought the outcomes on themselves, I'm just gonna leave them to rot upon themselves, and they don't change. Leave them to rot, as far as I'm concerned. As far as I see it, Monica and Jamie don't want to reform, nor does the rest of the majority of the VAs at Funny and Rooster Teeth, for that matter. So if Funimation goes belly up, so if Funimation and Rooster Teeth both go belly up, thank you, Raphael DeLuna, for saying that. As I was saying, if Funimation and Rooster Teeth go belly up, I don't think any of us are going to have a lot of pity for many of those VAs and staffers. I mean, there are a few we are going to feel sorry for that have spent the bulk of their careers at Funimation. People like Linda Young, Cynthia Krantz, Jeremy Lee, Todd Haberkorn, John Swayze. Those people who keep on good terms, Karen Strassman, Chuck Huber, those people who have been at Funimation longer than I could tell, and sympathize with Vic's situation, I'm going to feel sorry for them. I mean, sure, Jeremy, Todd, and Todd, they've got contracts with Bang Zoom, which is the Viz Media subsidiary dubbing company. So they would be fine. John, Cynthia, and Linda. Same thing with Karen. John, Cynthia, and Linda, on the other hand, they're going to have to find work somewhere else. And keep in mind, while John could go back to Sentai Filmworks, that's Funimation's sister dubbing house. So I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up going belly up too, and it essentially leaves John without a job. And I don't want that for Swayze. And those wondering, I don't want that for someone like John Swayze. But what Monica, Jamie, Sabat, Edwards, the Douglases, Rager, Martin have done and said over the past 3 years is sickening. You guys know that if I ever went to Galaxy, I've gone on record stating that if I ever went to GalaxyCon Raleigh at the end of July and start of August, I would kick Sabat's teeth down his throat. Or if he and I ever cross paths. And with Monica, I would just basically go to her panels, and I never said this, but I would do it. Basically doing my own rendition of Kyle's mom is a bitch, except swapping out Kyle's mom from South Park for Monica's. Monica, you know that song where Cartman just basically calls out Sheila Brofslavsky for being an overly sensitive political activist bitch. And to an extent, he's right. As much as I don't like Eric Cartman from South Park because I think he's a scumbag, sociopathic little fat ass who will do anything to get his way, he makes a valid point. Sheila's Broflovsky's main defining trait is that she is predominantly an overkill and overbearing alpha female mother who will do whatever she can to get her way. I mean, prior to the 200th episode of South Park, I always believed her to be Cartman's biological mother, not Leanne Cartman. I mean, going back to the hermaphrodite theory. But of course, the 200th episode retconned that by making Jack Tenorman, a former Denver Bronco, Cartman's father. That being said, I would go all out saying that. And I don't care if I got thrown out of the convention hall. To be fair, I am planning to go to Animazement in May, at the end of May. Mostly because I gotta patch things up with a different VA, with a different voice actor. Nevertheless, I stand with Vic, now, then, and forever. Leave a comment, smash the like, sub to the channel. Mets2128 signing out. Happy anniversary to me joining the fight. Goodbye, and good fucking night. Bang.